let's create a new project. New project. We're going to use Spring Initializer. So this project is, just going to call it MobOrg, for lack of a better term. That should go here. Looks like MobOrg, which is fine. This is going to go in good old com.jitterted, MobOrg. We'll use 16, and we'll use 16. That's all good. Do I not specify the version of Spring here, or is that next? I guess that was next. So let's go grab 2. Should we say the bleeding edge with a snapshot? No, I think we'll stick with the RC one. Git head dot, it'll be fine. Yeah, but I wanted to write a comment. Maybe I'll do an add and I'll just say pending, because it's pretty easy to amend a comment. I am looking forward to trying Spring Native. That is going to be interesting, but that's experimental and does not support 2.5 yet, so we'll skip that. We definitely want Spring Boot Dev Tools. Do we want Lombok? So I have been trying to revise my be more precise about where I think it's okay to use Lombok. And I think the one place I'm okay with using it is for defining DTOs. Yes, I do hate Lombok. Mainly when it tries to create constructors or things like that in my domain. Yeah, I don't want it. But I think if I just want to use it for easy to create DTOs, that's probably okay. Although, because I don't think I can use records yet for DTOs. I forget if that's supported yet. Because it relies on Jackson, the JSON processor, to do that work, and I don't remember if it supports records yet. Is it? I mean, I guess we could try. We can always add it later. So let's skip that. We want the Spring configuration processor. We definitely want Spring Web. We will want Timeleaf. Security. We'll want that. I'm not going to start with that. But once you add it, it becomes annoying. So I'm going to leave that out for now. SQL will definitely want Spring Data JPA. We'll probably want at some point to pull in the flyway migration stuff, so I'll pull that in. I'd be tempted to do Juke. I haven't done Juke in years, and I'd love to try it again, but this is not a learning project. This is a get something done project. So, well, records weren't released until Java 16. But I have to admit I've not been keeping up with Jackson like I usually do, so I'll have to check. We'll want, at least initially, H2, but then eventually Postgres. Do we want any messaging? No, we're not going to use WebSockets or anything like that. I/O. We do want validation. We have to pull that stuff in separately now. That used to be included with the web, but now it's separate, which was a surprise to me the other month. Java mail sender. I probably want to send emails, but I'm not sure I want to use Java mail sender for that. I probably want to use a provider. So we'll leave that out. I don't think I need a scheduler. I can always add that later. Ops, we definitely want Spring Boot Actuator. I don't have any observability testing. I would like to play with test containers. Eventually I want to try out the contract stuff, but not this time around. I'm already have now reached my limit of new things for this project, which is test containers. I've played with reactive Spring. Honestly, this goes back to sort of what I was saying before about scalability. I feel like it's a solution in search of a problem for most people. So if you've got a need for it, I think it's really nice. But if you don't really need it, then what the hell is the point? It just makes things a little bit harder to work with. Tramstars, this new project is my mob programming registration tracking system. Yeah, I gotta have system at the end, right? So it's tracking, since I'm doing these mob programming sessions now, and I'm doing multiple ones every week, trying to manage like who's in it, who's in the group, have they gotten signed up with GitHub, do they have access to the right repository, all that kind of stuff. I don't think I need anything else. Ooh, circuit breaker. Look, Microsoft Azure. Yeah, I don't think I need anything else. That's quite a bit. Would I like to install a shell script formatter? For what? What plugins do you have in mind? Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Sure, go ahead and install that. Because today is install everything day, apparently. Oh, always automated crud. If you mean like like an ORM, I don't, unless you're talking about something else by manual versus automated. All right, I don't need that. That's going to download stuff. So while it's downloading stuff, let me, so structure, I don't need favorites. Build database, even just rearranging my tool windows. And we can go ahead and create a new file. This will be project.md. So this project manages remote mob programming sessions. Registration, limit registration to 5 per session. And we'll want to get so info for participants, name, GitHub username, email address, Discord username. Madam EX says, in my org we have a couple of microservices in reactive, but I guess it's justifiable only for one of them. Also, some of the services we have already rewrite to non-reactive. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you need reactive, it's great. If you have, if you have a whole pipeline, and it's part of a pipeline of systems that supports back pressure and things like that, and your database is reactive as well, or whatever, basically the whole pipeline is reactive, then it's great. I think it's really useful. I just think it's not as widely applicable as it seems like they're pushing it. Like every time I watch a talk on it, I'm like, okay, you've explained what it is, but you haven't said when to use it and what to use it. And in my old age, I'm getting really frustrated by that. Why Flyway instead of Liquibase? I've used Flyway before. I remember I did an evaluation of Flyway versus Liquibase, but that was probably like 6 or 7 years ago, so I have no idea if it's still applicable. But I've used Flyway in my other projects, and so it's what I know. Oh, Tramstars. Oh, am I going to put all my data by myself? So initially, it will be all manual entry. Eventually, the goal will be to do things like, you know, integrate with calendars, because that's always fun. Integrate with GitHub for adding collaborators to the repo. But right now it'll start out all manual. Again, it's something I could totally do as a questionnaire for you know, basically using SurveyMonkey or Typeform or something like that. But that wouldn't give me things like the limiting of registration. And also I want to basically have a dashboard view you know, so basically create a new session, see sessions and registration and how many registrations, etc., etc. Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, cool, and that's neat. And like the examples that I often see are these very basic sort of, you know, more like teaching, here's how it works. But yeah, I want to know like why. And there's all this effort, which is great, behind like the R2DB stuff, the reactive database stuff, which is great. I think it's necessary. Blocking is something we eventually will want to not have to worry about, but it's again one of those things where, yeah, maybe, I don't know, 10% of the systems, 5% of them need that kind of thing, and the rest is just technology for technology's sake. Yeah. All right. Oops. And other stuff that I'd like to integrate with. So I use a tool when I'm running a mob. I use a tool called Mob Time, which is really nice. Mob Time. So it's a collaborative timer, and so what's nice is when you set it up, it creates a timer. You basically enter in the people who are in the mob, and it figures out the rotation and sets a timer for each person to have their time in the mob and then rotate and things like that. So it'd be nice to be able to, I don't know if they have an API for this. It is open source. I haven't looked at it. I guess not. Okay. So not yet, but even if it just, I can push a button where it's basically a copy and paste list of people that I can just paste into mob time, that's fine. So I'll put integrate in quotes with mob time. Oh yeah, that's true. Could totally could integrate with Zoom as well. Alkanian, when I hear about reactive, the only thing I can think about is this tweet. Oh my god. All right. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, don't do that. Oh, no, don't do that. Come on, nested for eaches? Really? That's a good one, okay. And I'm gonna have to keep that one in mind. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, anyway, like there's a whole bunch of things I could integrate with. But right now, sort of my primary goals. Yeah, exactly. It looks like a YML file. So create a new session. So that's absolutely necessary. Trying to figure out. So that's necessary. That's necessary. So that's optional. That's optional. That's optional. That's optional. That's necessary. That's necessary, but I could probably wait on that. It's not like I have so many people clamoring for my sessions yet. Hey there, Invisible Programmer. Project sounds interesting. Do I plan to do GoToMeeting integration? No, I use Zoom. I'm only going to integrate with stuff I want. This project will be open source. So, you know, people can do what they want with it. But I'm basically, you know, it's a side project that actually it's not a side project. I think that's sort of an unfair characterization. This project is better than that. It's really I need a tool to automate this stuff, so I'm writing it. Yes, it'll be open source. Hey there, Kumbuz. Kumbuzi. So yeah, license Apache 2.0. I should probably add that license. So do I need the GDPR? No. If somebody wants to file a GDPR complaint against me, more power to them. I really, it's been a while since I've looked deeply at GDPR, but I really feel like it's one of those that should not be applied evenly to all things. But I mean, I guess I can comply by having a checkbox saying you agree to be contacted. Honestly, I'm not. Yeah, I don't live in the EU, so good luck. Good luck trying to come after me. You're welcome to. But seriously, like this is for me for people who have already. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, it's I'll look into it, but this is one of those, you know, sort of related to scalability and performance things. I'll worry about that when I need to worry about it. So I think in terms of actually order of, yeah, I mean, these are already existing customers, so I already have a relationship with them. I mean, I'll explore the GDPR stuff again because I probably will need to figure that out. But I think right now saying a checkbox that you agree to be contacted would be sufficient. So there's always the funny bootstrapping problem of a project like this. Which do we develop first? The dashboard, so I can create a session so that people can register for it, or have one already existing and then develop this stuff where people can register. Yeah, exactly. Invisible program. I'm like, yeah, 100% agree. I would like to have that problem. Let's put it that way. I would like to have that problem. Let's go with these two because I think this'll be okay. I do actually have a surprising. I'm always pleasantly surprised by the number of customers who I have who are not in the U.S. Like probably Just thinking of, like, of my recent classes, probably half of the people are not in the US. The half that are not, probably half of those are in Canada. And the rest, yeah, are in Europe somewhere. So the magic of the internet. All right, so let's go create a story. Actually, before we do that, let's go create the project on GitHub. And I'll need to add the license file. Make it repository. Hold on, I just need to configure something because I have multiple personalities on GitHub. I have my Ted Young, which is my more commercial username, but I also have JitterTed, and I want to put this under the JitterTed. So let's see, version control, GitHub. Own Git repositories using SSH. Yes, I don't know why that's not the default. But that's been annoying in the past. Is I've forgotten to do that, and then I'm stuck. Then I have to go change the remote. Now, can I add? Hold on, I'm going to do this off screen because I'm not sure if it's going to ask for credentials or something. All right, hold on. I'm going to go secret. Does this page still work? Yes. Sure, it already has access. But okay. I think it does not allow me to do what I want it to do. I'm gonna have to talk to JetBrains about that. Because it's by default picking the primary account username, but I don't want that one. I want the other one. You can still clone with HTTPS. That's still possible. But it's not. But then you have to manage your HTTPS and credentials and stuff, and SSH is way better. That's actually one of the configuration problems for, not problems, but one of the things that people have to do when they join the mob to use mob sh. So they have to make sure that they're that they've cloned it using SSH, not HTTP, or they have a way to handle their credentials. All right, then I'm gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way. Actually, I put this under the wrong. Can I move this? Do jitter. Whee! That was not what I expected it to do. Okay. Let's just run these tests. Simon Gary, I get fed up with that. Git clone and copy the link from GitHub into Terminal Simple Life. Yeah. I may have broken it. Hold on, let me reopen the project. Don't do what I just did. Hold on a second. Let me switch here. There we go. All right. That all looks good. Invisible Programmer, MX keys? Look, I'm not getting the reference. Okay, so I guess I should run the test. Why not? All right, let me go create the project. Oh, that's interesting. Why did that fit? Oh, because it got flyway. Maybe I shouldn't have put that in there. There's a battery low warning on the screen from MXQs. Was there? The only thing I have running on battery, I don't have anything running on battery. Everything's hardwired. So yeah, it was yours. I'm like, I don't have anything. I used to have my trackpad running on battery, and then it would run down. That was fun when both my trackpad and my mouse batteries ran out, and I had to wait until it got charged up, and this happened during a training session. That was fun. Yeah, I've hardwired everything, even though like my keyboard is Bluetooth, but it's always plugged in. But my trackpad is hardwired because I was having problems with Bluetooth. Anyway. Simon Guerin, I'm not sure what it's like on Mac, but the new Git cross-platform credentials manager has definitely made life easier on Windows. Yeah, I don't actually know. I don't know what credential management is on the Mac anymore since I just use SSH. But let's pull out Flyway. Can always add that back later. Okay. I guess it was a good idea for me to run my tests. All right. And I'm feeling like I don't even want to, I should actually sort of disable the database stuff until I need it, because otherwise it's going to slow down my my integration tests. So let's group the database stuff together. And I think that's it. So let's make this, I'll comment it out. Let's see if that runs a little faster. Invisible programmer. Yeah, the best when you have a talk and your computer says this huge update. Yeah. I've learned my lesson. I do not upgrade anything in the hours or possibly even days leading up to certainly the talks. But I do so much training that I gotta update stuff at some point, but I try to do it like right after my class is over for the week. So I have a chance to recover. All right, so my tests are passing, so that's good. I'm just going to have IntelliJ push it. I'm not going to worry about, although I do want to add a license file. Maybe I should create. Let's create a new repository. This will be public. I think I have a git ignore. Choose a license though. Main will be the default branch. That's fine. I already have. Do I already have a README? No, I have a help file. I don't have a README. I think I can add my own README file. All right, so let's create that. Grab that. All right, and now let's go create a Git repository. That all looks good. Initial commit. And let's define our remote. Probably going to complain because there's already a project there. For commit and push to non-protected branches, preview commits before push. No, I don't need to do that. Oh, dang it. It pushed master. The whole main and master thing. Crap. What should I do? Invisible program. When there's no global virus, I have some meetup talks, and usually I have to use a corporate laptop. For a corporate laptop, corporate IT decides when you get the updates. Oh yeah, yes. Kumbuzi, I use my phone as input device in such battery draining sessions once. We better all learn from it, yeah. Merge and PR. Except that, I don't like, it's gonna be messy if I have two branches. I mean, I guess I could go and delete the branch, but I kind of want to abandon. I think I'm gonna grab this license file. Here's what I'm gonna do. Grab this. Go create it here. Yes, it's text. Yes, add it. Okay. And now I'm gonna, oops. I'm just gonna delete it and try it again. There we go. All right. Oops. Whoa, that was not what I wanted. Manage remotes. So let's go and remove that. Yes. Okay. This is a lot easier. Okay, much better. Invisible programming in EU, we usually don't understand all of Americans have so much time to have issues like mastering it. Yeah, I think it's one of those, you know, this really isn't, there are bigger problems. Agree. Totally agree. All right, so that is now shared. It's under Ted Young, but that's fine. I'll move it later. I do need to add a README, but whatever. I've got this project file. All right. Amazing how much time it takes when we do this administrative stuff. Just thinking of an acronym that might be better than MobOrg, but MobOrg is fun. I like it. All right. Taking care of that stuff. That's all good. Oh, should I change? So I've been using 2-space indents for quite some time. I'm wondering if I should change it to 4. So the reason I had 2 for the longest time is to save sort of horizontal space. But certainly over the past few years, I've gone towards, if you have that much indent where that makes a difference, you've got other problems. So I've actually been thinking about going to 8 spaces, but I feel like that might be hard for people to deal with. But I'm thinking about going back to 4 spaces. So maybe I'll do that for this project. Tabs. Because I want to, even though that might be a trolling comment, because I actually want to insist how many spaces it is. I don't want to let the user decide. That's true. There are accessibility things. But I'm going to leave it for now. For now, I'm just going to leave it because that's that's a bit of a rat hole that I don't feel like going down. Okay, I have a question about TDD with Spring. Where do I start writing tests from a controller? Oh, funny you should ask. So we're actually going to do that. By the way, I teach exactly how we do that in my Maker Design More Testable class. We actually spend a couple of days, they're half-day sessions, so we spend a couple of those sessions just doing that, test driving all the way and showing how to split that out. But as a preview, oh, that's a good point. 8 spaces might be too much for a PR, but then you shouldn't be reviewing PRs. You should be mob programming. But to Alkadian's question, to preview, this is how I think about writing tests. So this comes from Hexagonal Architecture, and there's places where we need to create integration tests, or what I call configuration tests, to see have I put the right controller annotation with the right post mapping or get mapping annotations, and have I done that properly, and is Spring configured correctly. But then everything else is, oops, that's not, I wanted an arrow. Then everything else is a controller method. And those are unit testable. And so then basically everything else is unit tested. Even though you're testing stuff that's in a controller class, it's still a regular class. So, and I'll do that in this project as well. Transstars, project managers, marketing, PR, people have too much free time, so they create problems. Like, I don't think it's a project manager marketing thing. I think it's one of those cultural things where people hopped on something that they felt like they could fix in terms of, you know, especially in the US, the problems in race relations and things like that. And I think people hopped on it because they felt like it was a tractable problem that they could fix. But it really is very, you know, theater-like. It really makes no real change. And you ask people who might be affected by it, it's like, you know what? How about we just have the police stop shooting black people? That would be nice. Main master, I could care less. I'd like to take guns away from the police. That's what I'd like to do. So, but you know, changing master to main is way easier than defunding the police. Yeah. I mean, recently we've had, it just never ends. I mean, clearly not much has changed when you see what's going on in here in the US, especially, you know, cop can't tell a gun from a taser. I mean, are you kidding me? I thought it was a taser. It's like, really? So anyway, I do my best to do what I can. That's why you'll notice in chat, Nightbot mentions that any subs, anything that I make off of Twitch or related stuff, goes to the Anti-Police Terror Project, as well as an organization called the National Police Accountability Project. So I donate to those because I think that at least they can do more than I'd want my money to go there. So yeah, exactly, Simon Gearing. It somehow makes us feel a little bit better when it really doesn't change anything. So, all right. Let's figure out what our first story is going to be. So our first story, I guess I can take this out because I've added a license. Hey there, Connie Shmoney. Yeah, I don't want to go down the road because I'll just get really upset and I don't want to do that. But where this country is in terms of you know, because Black Lives Matter, police need to be defunded, and the gun situation here seems to be like nothing's going to change. And I have, anyway, I have feelings about that, so I don't want to get into that. There's always something happening, right? And that's the problem. There's always, it seems like every week something happens, and it's like, oh, maybe this time it'll change, and it just keeps happening, and nothing changes, and it keeps happening, and it's very frustrating. So, all right, but on to at least something that we can do here, which is let's create our dashboard. So I think the first thing we want to see is see existing sessions. And so what I want to see from each session is maybe session name. Oops. Session date, time, including time zone. Oh, look, we're gonna have to deal with time zones. Isn't that gonna be fun? What else? Number of people registered. Why do you think that's a comment? Are you misinterpreting Markdown? Now, like, what are you doing? I don't think that's the correct interpretation of Markdown. But fine. But Markdown's not a standard, so who the heck knows? Invisible program. When I was in the U.S. first time, I was shocked when I saw the security date at the Universal theme park. Yeah, yeah. Connie Schmoney, this project is my mob organization project to allow me to track people who register for my mob programming sessions that I run. Ramborg, what IDE is better for beginner learning Java? Should I use Eclipse or IntelliJ? Your teacher has you using Notepad++. My condolences. So I will say that if it's a choice between IntelliJ and Eclipse, I will be 100% behind IntelliJ. Is it the easiest thing for a novice who's new to the language to work with? No. It is definitely a professional tool. There are other tools that are more sort of novice-centric, like BlueJ and some other ones. I don't know. I haven't looked at those in years. But at least with IntelliJ, you'll be able to get some help from anywhere, whether it's Reddit or Stack Overflow or looking at the help pages and things like that. So if it's something you're going to work with, take a stab at IntelliJ. It's free. The community edition's free, and you can see if it works for you. At least, hopefully, it'll be better than Notepad++. Visible programmer. Maybe we should put in a header into list. Except it wasn't a header. It was a. It shouldn't be interpreting the pound sign. It shouldn't be interpreting pound sign unless it's the first character in that line, right? If it's up here, that's fine. But if it's after an indented list, no. But, you know, Markdown, who the heck knows? It's all over the place. Summon gearing. Oh, is there a node time in Java? You mean Jota time? You mean where it came from? Where it started? Oh, no worries, Rambog, sorry. Hey, the Grumpy Game Dev, welcome. Rambog, yeah, it is a professional tool. It will take some learning, but if you set it up right, it can make things easier. But if you're just learning, then I actually think it's okay to be using Notepad++ and a command line Java compiler. I used to teach intro Java classes, and you start there because you want to get people to understand what happens to the Java source files, how do they turn into class files, that kind of thing. I think is actually important to understand. But once you start creating projects with more than just a few files, you're probably going to want something a bit more sophisticated. But it is a huge jump going from just a text editor to IntelliJ. So yeah. Yes, we're organizing mobs. It's funny. So mob programming, there's some folks who have suggested renaming it to an ensemble programming, which I'm generally in favor of moving away from something like mob. Except from a searchability standpoint, ensemble programming is not searchable. You end up getting a lot of stuff that has to do with music ensembles or jazz ensembles and things like that. And so honestly, I am fine with mob programming. I'm not going to worry about the name because it's very searchable. And so for me, as a teacher, searchability and findability is really important. Yes, that's where. Yeah, so Jota time was incorporated. So it became a JSR, a standard for Java, the JSR 3.10. That was included as of Java 8. So it's no longer really a separate project. Although I do use Jota Money because I find it much easier than the Java Money standard, which is awful. If you've seen past streams, you've seen how awful it is. Kind of fun. Don't forget dark mode. Yeah, Invisible Programmer. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Personally, IntelliJ is a real development environment for Java. VS Code is a text editor. And I'm going to say if you're serious about doing Java programming and you're doing VS Code, you are making a huge mistake. I will not soft pedal that. You are making a huge mistake. You are losing out on 15 automated refactorings that I use all the time when I'm using IntelliJ. Kanishima, do I use new code with it? We talked about that actually early in the stream. I don't use it because I don't think it was the right solution. But I should add this to Flubits once I get this up and running. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about Git. Git is a version control system, so I recommend doing some reading on just generally what a version control system is and why you want it. Git is a particular one that happens to be very popular for bizarre reasons. It is one of the most programmer and user unfriendly tools I've ever encountered in my entire career, and I have a long career. I've written version control systems, and it did not have to be this horrible, but here we are. So. Yeah, Invisible Programmer. I am a big shortcut nut. I am all about how can I not use my mouse in IntelliJ. So I have memorized most of the shortcuts that I use frequently, and I sort of feel personally defeated if I have to resort to using the mouse for something that I could use a shortcut key for. Hey there, I'm Scruffed Up. You can ask. I'm not sure if anybody will be able to help. Yeah, good luck, Randbog, and feel free to come back. Yeah, Invisible Program. There's the key promoter tool. I used to use that, but I found it was telling me with things that's like, I already know this, and so I don't use it anymore. I do use the presentation assistant, so you can see, you'll see when I actually start coding. You'll see the keystrokes come up. Good try, Simon Gearing, but thank you. I was actually going to type Discord, but thank you. And thank you for the follow, folks who I haven't. I don't generally like to call out people who just follow and who are quiet. I don't like to call out lurkers. You're allowed to lurk. It's totally fine. But thank you for the follow, Randbog. Invisible Program is yes, the same. Is there any plugin that I use regularly? Well, for presentation stuff. So let me write a little. Look here. So at the bottom, you'll see the thing pop up for about 4 or 5 seconds. That's a presentation assistant. I have that on all the time because 90% of what I do is presentation in front of people when I'm coding. It's just actually kind of rare that I actually code without somebody watching. So that's always there. So that's a plugin I use. I actually do need to write up. I've been creating a cheat sheet for shortcuts that I use in my course because I've promised that to folks who've attended my course, and I have not fulfilled that promise yet. So I feel bad about that. So I'm putting that together. The other thing I'll put together is sort of all the plugins for IntelliJ that I find to be sort of, when I install IntelliJ on a new machine, these are the plugins I grab. But certainly Presentation Assistant is one of the ones that I use. Git Toolbox is another good one. Honestly, that's I don't have too many. Flubits is, we've talked about that before. And Plant UML, which is great. I love Plant UML. I have rainbow brackets just because. I had Sonarlin turned on, but sometimes it gets annoying when I'm teaching, and so I always forget to turn it back on. So actually, let me turn it back on. I don't want to restart, so we won't do that. Yeah, exactly, the Grumpy Game Dev. I'm Scruffed Up. You're probably not going to get much help around here. I certainly know nothing about what you're asking about. I'm a Java backend developer, so I'm probably not going to be able to help you much. But if somebody else knows the answer, feel free to help out. Oh, it's it's so funny. When I was creating when I was working on the cheat sheet, I'm like, what keystrokes do I actually use? And I'm like, I don't remember what I use because it's so ingrained in muscle memory. I have to sort of like take notes of like, oh yeah, don't forget Command E. So I'm going to take some notes. Because there are shortcuts that that I use all the time that I just don't even notice that I'm using. SonarLint is a static code analyzer. It may have some security stuff, but it's mainly just like this could be fine. Some more stuff than just what IntelliJ offers. But it's mostly about static code analysis, just from regular static analysis, not specifically security. I don't know if they have other tools that are for security points of view. All right, so if we're looking at existing sessions, and I don't know why the tabs are indented like that, but whatever. Sorry, I got distracted by something. So we want to see a session name, session date, time, number of people registered. What else do I want? And I guess details about the people who are registered. Participant details. And so that includes their name, their GitHub username. I guess it's basically this stuff. Their email address. IntelliJ trying to be too helpful. What else do I want? Oh, hey, Radio Guard, check marks. Yeah, check marks. I don't know if I've used them. That's all I can think of right now. So, and I'm going to work with a very basic, very unstyled HTML output for this. Although I am tempted, I am somewhat tempted to put a Vue front end on this and use an API just because, but I'm not going to do that. I might add that, but I'm not going to do that now. The gradient, no, not that unstyled. It'll be black on white. It'll be very unstyled. You see, even blue and yellow is styled, so it won't be like that because it's not a game. Only games are blue and yellow. All right, so that's that story. I'll figure out other stories such as create new session. So I'm even thinking for the first story, do I want even that? I could just do. Yeah, so participant details. Yeah, so I'll start with just that. So Craigslist, yes. Even that's some, yeah. 19. I mean, eventually I'll pull in Tailwind and do the styling with that, but not right now. All right, so what we now need to figure out is what is the first test we want to write. So the first thing we want is when we hit the home page, not the home page. I won't have a home page just yet. I will have a page for me, which is basically just dashboard. So if we go to dashboard, we'll see existing sessions. Hey, I remember when it was called DHTML, so yeah. So, hey, we can actually now write a test. We know enough about what we want to do that we can actually write a test. Isn't that amazing? So we're going to create, and we're going to do this hexagonal. I'm going to use hexagonal architecture. So what we're going to be writing is a test, actually, basically this kind of test. We're going to be writing a web UI adapter, and we'll configure that. We'll write a test against it. Actually, the other way around. We'll write the test against it and then configure it properly, like that. All right, so our first thing is we need to write a test. This will be web. I'm going to call it web configuration test because I'm really getting tired of using the term integration. I'm going to use Timeleaf for now. Please don't ask again. Oh, did they ruin the shortcut key for that? Oh, crap. So in general, I really like the Mac, and in general, I really like at least non-recent Mac UI stuff. I find some of the recent stuff to be bizarre. What I really do not like is the Mac, and the Mac UI never, ever since 1984, has never really been keyboard friendly. It's always assumed that it's very mouse centric. And so whenever I can't use a shortcut key for something, I'm always really annoyed. It's like that dialogue that showed up. There was, if you hold down the option key, it's supposed to underline the ones that you can then press the shortcut to click it. And there wasn't one for the checkbox. So I had to tab over to it. From an accessibility standpoint, that also kind of sucks. Invisible program, yeah, there is no API, so I may have to. There are two options. One is if I can at least make something easily copy and pasteable, so I can copy and paste into MobTime, that's fine. But also MobTime is an open source project, so I may open up an issue, and I think it's a language I can write some code in, so I maybe will even contribute something. All right, so this is going to be a web MVC test. We'll go ahead and auto wire oh, the W is not capitalized, that's why. We're going to auto wire a mock MVC. And we'll write a test. Whoops. Why is it trying to import JUnit? Where is that coming from? Did something import JUnit? Oh, I wonder if it wasn't excluded. I'll have to check. Come on, import it. Thank you. All right. Simon gives send keys and window handles. Yeah. I mean, I guess I could do something. I'm not going to go that far. Transfer says, my OCD is asking if you can add private modifier to mock MVC, please. It's a test. It's a test. Do you really put private on your mock MVC in your tests? I guess I kind of don't see the point. But I don't know. It's a test. Okay, so we want a get request, get to dashboard, get of dashboard endpoint returns 200. Okay. All right, so we want mock MVC, we want to perform, we want to get of dashboard. And then we expect status of is okay. God, I hate static import stuff in tests so much. Can't tell you how much I hate it. Invisible program, it seems to complete easily extended. I already have one endpoint. Yeah, I figure it would be fairly straightforward to extend. I'm not too concerned about that. Chance says yes, you don't know why. Hey, Lexlers. Yeah, the default visibility would be package. And so basically any other class in that package would be able to access it if they instantiated the test. And my question would be, who the heck is instantiating your test besides your test framework? All right, so we're doing TDD. Look at that. And because we're doing TDD and my style of TDD is to do predictive TDD, we're going to have an expectation around what we expect from this test. So certainly we expect it to fail. And the question is how we expect it to fail. In this case, Spring will do a 404. So let us run all of our tests. Run all tests. So we expect this to fail with a 404, assuming everything else is configured correctly. And look at that, it fails, and fails for the right reason. Great. All right, so now we can go create a controller. Actually, this should not be in that package. This should be in an adapter in web. And then what we want to do is we want to create, oops, I want to create a new class, not here though. We'll create a new class. This will be our dashboard controller. And this will be an adapter in web. And this is a regular controller. And we want a get mapping. So this is dashboard. Dashboard view. Dashboard. So this will still fail because we don't have a template for this, but let's see if that's why it fails. Fear-driven development. I don't like fear-driven development. That's way too much anxiety. Okay, so this should have failed because it couldn't find the template. Correct, it could not find it because it does not exist. Let's go create it. We want it under resources, templates. This will be dashboard HTML. And I'm going to go grab one of my templates from here. I'll grab it there. Oh, look, I'm already using Tailwind. Look at that. Okay, so this is dashboard. Why does it feel like I'm missing an HTML namespace? Okay. So I think if everything is set up correctly, this should now pass. And hey, it does. All right. So do commit added dashboard test controller and added dashboard endpoint. We can see which files I added. I don't need to say which files I added. Don't do code analysis. Optimize imports, but don't do anything else. All right, ship it. So we got that. That works. So we should be able to run the application. I'm just looking at the output here. All right, that all looks good. That's expected because its dashboard is the endpoint I created. And hey, look at that. Aren't I switching to 4 spaces? Yes, I'm going to switch to 4 spaces. Yes, I'm going to do that. I will. I promise. Invisible program. Oh, thanks for this tip. I hate those codes. Yeah, so there's stuff in IntelliJ where you can sort of configure globally that will apply to all projects. There's things that I have not been able to figure out how to do that with. One of which is these tools on the side. I like my project and structure up on top, so I can have that open, and I like my commit down here, so that way I can have the project open and my commit window open. And I haven't figured out how to make that as like open all projects this way. The other thing is the git commit stuff that I haven't figured out how to say, no, these should be the defaults for all projects. So I will probably have to ask for help on that. Invisible program, why don't I set up an auto import organizing on file save? Because it's almost always auto optimizing imports. Oh, I know why. There are times when I import things that I haven't yet used, and then if I they get optimized away, and so I don't want it to do it that frequently. So I actually had turned off that feature because like when I create a test file, it pulls in the assert.j assertions, and I don't want that to go away and get optimized away. So doing that on commit is when I'd want to do that. Hello, Binku. All right, so our application works, such as it is. So let's see what's next. So we got that part working. So now we want to see existing sessions. And so what we want from an existing session, we have that information. So we'll need to create a DTO. Oh, I know what I wanted to do, and I always forget to do this. Do I have a Pojo bean? JSON? I don't have it installed. JSON, no, not parser. JSON to Pojo. Problem is this one hasn't been updated in like 3 years, and it uses JSON, and that's not what I want. JSON utils, no. Helper, no. Java bean to JSON, no. I want the other way around. I want not Pojo to JSON, but JSON to Pojo. No. No. Why are they all going the wrong way? They used to be a plugin, but then it stopped working, and so I've been looking for a replacement. All these ones that take a Pojo, which by the way is just don't use that term anymore. Stop using Pojo. That's what I want. Generate Java and Kotlin Pojo files, whatever. I have lost that battle. From JSON. That's what I want. Okay. Oh, I don't want to restart my IDE. All right, never mind. Not now. All right. So let's see. So what do I want next? What I want next is for it to iterate through sessions. So I'm going to create some session DTO. If anybody has a better word for session, because I feel like the word session is way overloaded in this industry, let me know. I could use event. Even event is over. So many overloaded words. But we'll go with session for now. We can always rename stuff later. So what we want is in our, so what we'll want is for this to pull into the model basically a list of sessions. Huddle. Oh, that's an idea. Well, it's not HODL, HODL. That might work. Invisible program. I've been working on a remote meeting software. There were endless arguments about what exactly the term session means. Yes. Words like that are, I can imagine. Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Should we go with huddle? I'm fine with going with huddle. But we need to write a test first. So let's go write a test. We don't need to write a configuration test for this because what we need to check is the content that is returned. And we can check that by directly calling that. So we're going to create another test, which is going to be our dashboard. I'm almost hesitant to call it a dashboard controller test, but we'll start with that. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That's what I wanted to do. There we go. Because then it imports my search A for me. So what we... I don't want to exclude it from auto import, but now I want to find out who's importing JUnit 4? Who's doing the wrong thing? I don't want to collapse all, I want to expand all. Yeah, but it should have set it up so, because by default it includes JUnit, but it used to set up, and maybe they stopped doing that, it used to set up the exclusion of JUnit 4. But I wonder if I now have to manually do that. Unless it comes from Spring test. That might be why. Nope. Oh, Command plus. Oops. I'm over here. There we go. Command plus does it. But thank you. So I don't care about plugins. Oh, interesting that test containers pulls that in. Why? Why would test containers and the test containers JUnit Jupyter, which is JUnit 5, why would it pull in JUnit 4? Why would it do that? What is wrong with you people? I'm sure there's a good reason, but I'm like, that's so weird. I guess for compatible, but like, I would assume if there's a specific JUnit Jupyter version artifact of test containers, why? Oh, because it pulls in the regular test containers, so the regular test containers must have, okay. So I guess I need to exclude that from, because that's getting really annoying. So let's go exclude that. Because yeah, it used to be that you'd have to, in the starter test, it used to be you had to exclude this, but I haven't had to do that in a while. But it looks like the test containers, this one, which ironically is the JUnit Jupyter one, I have to exclude. I always forget how exclude works. So exclusions, exclusion. The artifact is JUnit. JUnit. Okay. Thank you, IntelliJ, for helping me on that one. And it's now gone. All right. Well done. Good going. No. Import class. Thank you. Now why is it complaining? Oh, it thinks it's a constructor. No, it's not a constructor. I'm just not done yet. What test were we writing? It's shade. It's all the way down. All right. So what we want to do here, what we're doing? Oh yeah, we want to display sessions. So the test we'd like to write is that it puts some session info into the model. So given, oh, we're going to call a huddle. Let's start using that. So given huddle, given one huddle, results in huddle placed, huddle put into model. All right, Invisible Programmer, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Have a good one. All right, so we'll create our controller. I keep wanting to type blackjack controller because I type that so much. Do that. Okay. And what we want to invoke is dashboard view with a model. So we'll go ahead and create a model. And what we want to assert is that the model, at least initially, contains an attribute for huddles. All right. So this should fail because there ain't one. And it would help. Always doing this. I'm always running the application when I mean to run the tests. And sometimes vice versa. Actually, never vice versa. It's always I mean to run the test, but I'm running the application. I need to figure out a way to stop doing that. All right, so we want to run all the tests. Okay, so that fails. Does it fail for the right reason? Yes, it fails for the right reason. So now let's go to split and move right. Okay. So let's model, add attribute, huddles, and just thinking how I'm going to want the DTO structure. Do I want something called huddles that has itself yeah, I'll probably want something like that. I think so we want new huddles. We will create. Should we create a record? It is a record. Grumpy Game Dev says yes, so we must do it. This is going to be in here, yes, okay. And in here, well, this is good for now. This will get the test to pass, and then we'll worry about what goes inside of it. Why? What? Why won't it let me new one up? I feel like it's something obvious that I'm just missing. I mean, a record is basically a class. So I think IntelliJ is just confused. Or it's possible I'm confused. Well, how else does one... I feel like I don't know what's going on. Because underneath, I mean, I've used it before, and I feel like I've all of a sudden, I don't know anything anymore. Like contract is a record. I wonder if it's a problem because like there's nothing in the constructor, and so it's completely empty. But otherwise, you just knew it up. And so I just wonder if but wouldn't that cause a compile error? Like maybe you can't have an empty record? But I feel like IntelliJ is drunk, yes. Oh, I don't want plugins, I want lifecycle. Okay, now I feel like I'm doing something stupid. So it's basically saying it doesn't exist. Let's do this. String name. And now here we'll do test. Oh, did it put it in the... Damn you, IntelliJ! Now I know what's wrong. And I blame IntelliJ because it always does this to me. No, it has nothing to do with the record having something in it. This is in the frickin' test directory because when I asked IntelliJ to create it, it said, oh, of course you want to create in the test directory. No, I am in a frickin' production class. Why the hell would I want to create this in the test directory? What is wrong with you? Ugh. And it does this to me like not rarely. I guess we've already given it a name, so what the hell? Okay. But yeah, that was why. But seriously, I could understand if I was in my test class. And I think this is where maybe it's getting confused because I have a split pane and maybe that's why it's doing it. But I can understand if I was creating a test class from a test, creating a new class from a test, sure, put it in the same place. But over here, I said create it, and it created it, and it created it in the wrong place. Yeah, Lexler's, yeah, and that's why I do point out in the class, but maybe I should be like, you know, flashing a big sign saying, watch out for this problem because it happens all the frickin' time. Yeah, well, back to Eclipse then. No, it's not that bad. Did I miss a comment somewhere? Oh, talking about equality. Yeah, I forget the rules of equality for records. It's probably what you would think it is. It automatically generates an equals method for all the member variables. But a record is just a class. It's just syntactic sugar for creating all the stuff for you. So. All right. I'm calm now. That's so freaking frustrating. And I filed a bug against that. I need to see what the status of that is. So I can remember this moment. Where are we? We're 2 hours and 25 minutes into the stream. Honestly, that's one thing that's really nice about streaming this stuff, is everything I do is recorded, and so I can always provide a video snippet of, look, here's me making this mistake. All right. Code compiles. It should do what we want. Let's run our tests. They should pass. And they do. Excellent. So now dashboard endpoint puts huddles in the model. Oh, and we also, dang it. We also excluded JUnit for which came in via test containers. I love how easy it is to amend commits nowadays with IntelliJ. Endofunctor 0, with what age would you want to stop programming, working, doing workshops? You mean at what point for me, what age would I want to stop doing that? When I'm dead? I love doing it. Why would I want to stop? Yeah. Summon Gearing, you also have a timestamp for the bug report for IntelliJ doing a dumb read the code generator namespace. Yeah, I've which one was that? The code generator. Oh, right, the package thing. Yeah. Yeah. Hey there, gonna figure out how to Masias 92. Why use MVC instead of REST and standard front end? Because I don't need the complexities of a full front end application right now. Eventually, I might want to do that, but right now, if I don't have to write front end code, I don't want to write front end code. I have written it. I've done lots of, not lots of, but enough front end code that I could totally do it. But it would be overkill, basically, for something that is pretty much mostly just looking at stuff and form-based filling out things. A single page application would be overkill. Yeah. All right. Next piece of functionality is so now that we have the huddles there, what is going to be in there? Let's define that in here. So the properties that we're going to have here, a huddle is going to have a name. Oops. So it has the name. I swear I can't look at like string name and think primitive obsession anymore. I have lost that ability. What else did we want? We wanted session name, session date and time. Okay, now I got to figure out which date and time do I want to use. I need one with a time zone. I won't need. Will I need an ID? Eventually I need an ID. Right now it's a name. It'll be the name of the session, like mob programming session number 3. I'll add identifiers later. Oh, Endofunctor, most front end don't actually need React Angular. They just use these for developer happiness. Yeah, I find, yeah, lots of people use those large front end, and they're not terribly large. I mean, I actually think Vue is nicely sized, or React isn't too bad either. I think Angular is kind of large, but we use those when we shouldn't. I remember when the bank I use for some of my accounts is JP Chase, and I remember hating them so much when they changed their web bank interface from a nice, perhaps a slightly dated styling, but a real server-side generated HTML application, and then they converted it to Angular. And now when I visit the page, I have to wait several seconds for it to finally populate the page. Whereas before, it would come up and it would have all the information I needed. And does it need Angular? No. There's like no state. There's no front-end state. And if you don't have front-end state, what are you doing? I mean, a bank application is like, the most I do is fill out some forms. Like I want to transfer money or pay a bill, but that's a form. Why the heck do I need a full front-end application that keeps taking many seconds to do its job? Anyway, so don't use it unless you really need to use it. Hey there, Idiocracy. Do I program using a specific version of Java in mind? I try to, so it depends on my audience. For my projects, I will try to target the latest release, the latest current release, the latest, I guess, not latest and current, the latest release as opposed to the latest version. In this case, with 16, because I want to know the latest stuff. But when I'm doing consulting, coaching, training, I'll stick with 11. I do not tolerate companies that have not upgraded to 11. If they want to take my class, they're going to have to upgrade to 11 on their machines. That used to be a battle. That has not been much of a battle over the past year. If you can't get to Java 11, you've got more serious problems. I don't expect companies to upgrade to 16 right away, but if you're not on 11, you have no hopes of getting anywhere else. Yeah, so honestly, I pick the latest release unless there's a reason I need to be compatible with anything. There was an interesting tweet thread by Trisha Gee and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name. Developer advocates at JetBrains, where they were asking like, what would you develop? And I can definitely see if you're in a larger organization, you have to pay attention to a sort of what's the prevalent thing, what's the deployment mechanisms. But I try to stick with the latest because I want to use things like records. Right now, I can actually use records for real. So why would I hold myself back and hamstring myself if I can avoid it? Okay, so we got the name of the session. I'll have to add an ID later. What else do we want? We want date time. Oh yeah, we think about which date time do I want, and it's been so long. I don't think it's local date time, right? Because that one is a daytime without a time zone. So we want offset date time. So that has an offset from UTC, so that's probably fine. But I always forget the difference between offset date time and zone date time. So it's a date time with a time zone. Oh, so it actually has the time zone instead of the offset. I think I want the offset. Yeah, I think I just want the offset. Oh, the zone date time adds full time zone rules. Time zones. Yeah, actually I want the time. I want zone date time. Because I might be planning things in the future where if I'm planning something for after we switch from daylight savings time back to standard time, does that matter? Well, I'll use zone date time. I don't know what although technically this is a DTO, so this can just be a string. Welcome to Kick the Can Down the Road. Endofungus0, why do people not upgrade from Java 8 to 11? Is it that hard to migrate? Apparently, yes. Because have you seen the craziness of corporate enterprise level applications in terms of how complex they are and the set of dependencies and getting that thing into production? It is a nightmare. I've seen some things that I'm glad I don't work at those companies. They have dependencies on dependencies on things that are customized and have been used over time. And they maybe were just able to get it to 8 and have had great difficulty getting it to be able to deploy onto 8, let alone 11. And they just got tired and said, we'll wait a little while longer, even though Java 8 has been end of life for what, at least a year. In general, it's not a problem unless you're doing something. Like, it's usually not their code that's the problem. It's usually libraries that they depend on that maybe are no longer maintained. There are all sorts of reasons, but they're really, in my opinion, they're just bad reasons. They're just excuses. Like, you need to be able to upgrade. But usually it's often a symptom of a larger problem around their continuous. They probably don't even have a continuous deployment system in a surprising number of cases. But I've seen horrors, and it does not surprise me that they cannot get it upgraded. I know of a very large company that only recently have started to convert their stuff to Java 11. So yes, code is not an asset. It is a liability. So, all right. What else do we need in our huddles? We need a list of huddle. So we'll create a record called huddle. Why? See, now I'm onto you, IntelliJ. You're not going to fool me this time. Why are you suggesting source test? Fool me once and so on. Okay, so for each huddle, I should start renaming this stuff here. Oops. So that can just be name. That can just be date time. Okay. So we want oh, I didn't need the name for huddles. That's right. Huddles is the list of huddle. The huddle each one of these has I don't think I need anything from here other than as a container. Do I even need this? I could just store a list of huddle. I thought I was going to have something overall. But I'm gonna apply Yagni. Simon Gearing, time to leave and and off to bed. It was great to see you, Simon Gearing. I'm glad to hear about your new job, and hope that continues to go well. Endofunctor Zero, can you use records as hibernate entities? I actually don't know. I don't know. We'll find out when we get there. I probably don't want to, because you've got to put annotations on things, and you can do that in records, but I feel like it's easier to manage with just classes. But we'll see. I think I'm going to get rid of. So let me do this. Let me take this back to what it was, and actually I'm just going to rename this to huddle. Let's go delete this. And this is just going to be huddle. Now, we don't need that. Int number registered. So now we need to go back to our test. That still applies. Here it's new huddle. So what does it take? It takes a name, date, time, and 2. Okay. All right, that's better. So now what we want to do given one huddle results in that, so that's fine. We can now do this a bit more precisely. We can do model get attribute huddles, and that is going to be, what we'd like is this is to be a list of huddle. That's what we want. Now this will fail, so we're saying assert that huddles has size of 1. So this will fail because we're not even returning a list. So we'll get a class cast exception. Hey, class cast exception. I bet you were never so excited to see a class cast exception like I am. All right, so this is going to be, we'll pull this out into a variable, we'll call this a huddle. And then this is going to be list of huddle. And that passes. Cool. All right. So now let's put that into our display. That will be in our dashboard. And so what we'll do is you and your stream of. I don't know how well timeleaf works with stream. So I'm going to stick with list because it's a known quantity. Yes, Lexlers. I basically, when I'm in refactoring mode, then I'll start thinking about primitive obsession and things like that. Right now, I want to get to the point where I can see the huddles, and then I'll start thinking about that. That's a great point, the Gremlin Game Dev. I just don't know if streams, how well streams are support. Although you'd think they would be. We can try it. Let's get what we know working, and then we'll try it out. So what we want, because it's always what I want to do. Is this going to be a table? Yeah, I guess this is going to be a table. So I want a tr, th each. Okay. So table, table body, table row, th each. What do we want? We want huddles. Oh no, that's not the each syntax. That's what it is. We want huddle from huddles. That's what we want. and then TD th text, and from that we want huddle dot name. And I'm a little concerned that it's having problems with that. I wonder if it can't handle records, because it's not, because records do not use the getter setter format. So I wonder. Let's put in a t head and put in a th with name, date, time, and number registered. What's it complaining about the th? Wait, I'm in the t head. Why can't I? Oh, I forgot the tr. Silly me. Okay. All right. Tbody, tr, td. I'm concerned that it won't find this, so let's see. The grumpy game dev. Why does a view need a setter? A view doesn't need a setter. A view needs a getter, and it needs the objects, the beans. It needs them to be Java beans, and so they need to have getters to provide the standard way of retrieving properties off an object, and records do not do that. So I have a feeling TimeLeaf probably doesn't like records. Is my expectation. Yes, naming convention, which was probably, in hindsight, I mean, it was the right decision at the time. It had interesting repercussions, which were, in my opinion, should not have happened, and I don't fault the Java beans for that. But things that have setters and getters that therefore define properties is part of the Java bean specification that has been around since 1997. I think it was a fine idea at the time, and I think it's still a fine idea. I think, unfortunately, what's happened is people have taken what was meant for tooling and put it into regular hand coding things, which is why setters and getters are evil. So this is not going to work. Our test may pass. Actually, I wonder if the test will pass. Is TimeLeaf going to complain and blow up? Interestingly enough, it did not. Honestly, I'm a bit surprised it didn't blow up. Maybe IntelliJ is not recognizing this correctly. So let's run the application and see what happens. Well, what do you know? I actually am surprised. So my guess is IntelliJ has not been updated to recognize. So this error is coming from IntelliJ saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't resolve huddle. It may just not have enough information, but it looks like it worked. So cool. So then this is date, time. And then this is number registered. I love how like the field that has the shortest piece of information, basically a number, which will actually be a single digit number, happens to have the longest name. That worked. Well, what do you know? Yeah, so the inspections that IntelliJ is doing are I bet that's probably just a bug. It probably is. Although I'm surprised at, I would expect it to not understand name, but I'm actually surprised that it doesn't understand huddle. Because huddle I've defined here, so that it should have found. But it's complaining that I can't resolve huddle. I would have expected it to maybe have an error on these, but that it can't resolve that is something else. Seats to me sounds like, so there's a difference between seats available and seats taken. So seats by itself would be ambiguous to me. If you're gonna break it, you're gonna commit, yeah. And I know sometimes IntelliJ will do this even for properly configured things, and sometimes it just seems like what time of day it is. I don't know. Yeah, seat count doesn't help. Is that the seat taken or seat available? I could have seat taken count, but why not? Then that's just number registered. Seats occupied, but they're not occupied until you take them, and you don't occupy your seat until you're actually in class. Naming is so hard. I'm fine with number registered. I don't mind the length of. Yeah, if we steal all the seats, then nobody can sit. All right. So that is working surprisingly. And look, we learned something. We learned that TimeLeaf apparently supports records. Okay, so then let's do a commit. What did we do? We now dashboard displays huddles. All right. Holy cow, the stream's almost over. What time is it? Oh my gosh, it's almost 4 o'clock. This stream went by fast. Holy cow. Let's see what else we can get done before I end. Although I can go a little longer than my planned time. What do we want to do next? Let's go to that. So we probably want to, is there anything else we want to add to the session? Sorry, huddle. So we got name, date, time, number of people registered. We've got that. And so now we have participants. So let's go and create participants. So that will be a dashboard test. How much do I want to assert here in this test? I don't think I want to assert anything about the structure of it. There's probably going to be some stuff that I'll modify in this test for, like, well, how did that huddle get in there? But for now, that's fine. So let's go to huddle, and it's going to have a list of participants. Yes. No. Yes. What do I want? Right. Okay. So let's go ahead and create this as another record. And you keep insisting on the test directory. Why? Why? So what we want for this is full name, GitHub user name, email, and Discord user name. Now, is username user uppercase N or is username lowercase n? I don't know. I'll leave it. The Grumpy Game Dev. So I wrote a game for a game jam, and now I'm planning to publish it on Steam, and I put together a loose schedule. I'm currently refactoring the post-jam code because it's a jam game and it got messy. Many of my stream viewers are bewildered because they've seen many games developed but never refactored. I bet they're confused. Yeah, it kind of feels like it is username, isn't it? Okay. And now this new to group, do I actually need that? Really new to mobbing. So yeah. All right. So now when I create a huddle, wait a second. I told it to leave in same source root, and it's considering same source root as test. So this is in the wrong place. So apparently leave in same source root, like, I don't know why. They stay new to mob. They stay new to mob. Basically, is this the first time they've participated in a mob? Once they've participated in a mob, they're no longer new. But I need to see that because I need to do slightly different things if they've never been part of the mob. So for example, if you, the Grumpy Game Dev, were to be in a mob, you would be new to my mob huddles, and I'd need to do some special stuff. Exactly. Unlike Fight Club, though, we do talk about mobbing. All right, and this is gonna fail. Not compile. So that's that, and then we're gonna just say list of new participants. That's gonna get ugly fast. So let's pull this out to participants. And then technically, this is participants size. So now here we can do new participant. And what do we need here? We need a full name. The Grumpy Game Dev. And this is the advantage of using full name instead of the frickin' separate first and last names. Sorry. Pet peeve of mine that so many systems are created despite the fact that we should know better around how people refer to themselves, and stop asking for first and last name. Please, I beg of you. GitHub username, I don't know. I will get that information at some point, but I don't know what it is offhand. Do we have a driver and navigator, or just driver? No. We have a typist and a navigator. Although I'm trying to figure out another name for a navigator. I was thinking director, but I'm not somebody else suggested the word typist, and I like it much better than driver, because drivers are still making decisions, and I want to make really clear that typists are not making any decisions. Hey, if you're willing to tell me what your GitHub username is, then I'll put it in my source code. Let's see, email. I'm just going to say email. I'm not going to dox you. Grumpy game dev, and that's true. Trying to sound so posh and boring. I am open to other names because Navigator sort of loses its meaning when you don't have a driver. Brain versus hands. I'll have to think about that. I'm not so sure about that. I like the idea of the hands, though. I was thinking of calling typist a robot, but I didn't want to. But I don't know. Well, we'll have to brainstorm on that a bit more. Okay. So now that we've got this, this is purely display stuff. What do we want? Do I want to? See, actually, I don't even need this. What am I doing? This dashboard view is not going to show the participants on this screen. Well, So the question is do I want to just display the list of huddles and then I click into them and see the details on a huddle? Or do I want to see all the details for all the huddles? What am I doing? Yeah, I think actually I don't want that. I think this should be the summary, and then I should have a separate endpoint for the details on a specific huddle. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad I figured that out now instead of writing a whole bunch of code for that. So this is really huddle summary then, because it has that. So it doesn't have the actual list. And so therefore this is huddle summary view. These are views. I have not been naming them as such. I think it would be more clear if I do that. So let's do that. Okay. So that should still be fine. Still called huddles. We still have the same information, so that hasn't changed. So this was wrong. So really the so this is 2. And this is 3. And get rid of that. Okay. So that means we'll have a different endpoint. So dashboard shows the summaries, and then we'll have a dashboard will be, no, it'll just be huddle. Huddle endpoint. This will be the last thing we do. We'll leave ourselves with a failing test. Let me make sure the tests pass. I don't think I've broken anything, but I would like to run it. Why? Okay, this is IntelliJ's fault for not reading my mind. It knew I wanted to run the tests. Why did it run the application? All right, all our tests pass. So let's do a commit. I'm not going to add participant yet. What did we change here? Oh, we just renamed stuff. Yeah. All right. All right, so then we'll create a failing test. We'll leave with a failing test, and then that'll be it for today's stream. So we want a new endpoint. So that's going to be web configuration test. This is going to be get of huddle detail endpoint returns 200. Okay. So mock MVC perform get of huddle and expect status is okay. So this will most certainly fail with a 404. And it does, and we'll probably have to do a bit more testing here because we're gonna have to come up with IDs and things like that. So we'll do that next time. So let's make sure we take notes on what's next. So this will huddles to have identifiers. So at that point, we'll probably introduce an identifier for huddle. We'll also need identifiers. No, we won't need identifiers yet for participants, but we'll need those not too far in the distant future. To be passed on the to be inserted into the URI. Once we have IDs for huddles, so huddles are aggregates. In domain-driven design terms, a huddle will be an aggregate of participants among probably some other information. So they'll have IDs. We'll then be able to create a huddle repository to store our huddles. We'll need to create a service. Once we get to creating a new huddle, we'll probably need to create a service there. But probably can get away without it until then. So I think that's good enough for now. I'm going to do a push. Even though it's a failing test. All right, Hirak, thanks for hanging out. So we'll do a raid in a bit once I do this commit. I'll do a push, so that way if anybody wants to look at that code, they can certainly do so. Thank you, Vector Loaf, and thank you, Sankoke. All right, that's it.